Amie, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate the time. We know the last 2 weeks now has been just a roller coaster for the Titans, for the NFL as a whole, and now the Bills just trying to figure out, when is this game going to be played? We learned that yesterday. It's moved to Tuesday per no more positive tests from the Titans. So we hope it can stay on Tuesday and we can get this game in without pushing it even further. Of course, the Steelers game was postponed last week due to that COVID outbreak at the Titans facility with players and personnel. You guys moved virtual a while ago, it seems now like, but what has life been like for you as someone who works for the team and has kind of been thrown into this roller coaster with everybody moving back home to work and everything really getting shut down for the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that I already had a home studio set up. So we've been able to do a lot of things remote. Honestly, for someone like me, it hasn't been too much of a difference. We've been doing a lot of things in kind of remote situations anyway, just to be extra cautious and keep everyone safe. These last couple of weeks have been nuts. It's been very strange to wake up every morning and have your first thought be, I need to check and see the health status of this team. Like, it's just not something that any of us are used to. First and foremost, I mean, we want to make sure that the players and the staff and their families who are struggling with this and who have contracted this illness are getting better and are given all the resources that they need and the time that they need to really heal. That's the first priority for this football team, like far and away, making sure that everybody is safe and their families are safe. But there's been a lot of adjustments and everyone has just kind of had to be very willing to go with the flow and be incredibly flexible. And we're just making changes as they come. There's no roadmap for any of this. And I mean, Mike Vrabel has said time and time again, this is a pandemic. Like, these are the things that happen in a global pandemic. And so it's just trying to adjust to whatever comes our way and just taking the steps to keep things as normal and consistent as possible so that people can heal and they can also prepare for the games that are upcoming, hopefully playing the Bills on Tuesday.
Yeah, our head coach, Sean McDermott, his message to the team all season has been expect the unexpected. And I think we're seeing the unexpected happen here in the early part of the season. I think we all wish that we don't want any team to experience an outbreak. We don't want any team to have positive tests. We want everybody to stay healthy through this. And Stephon Diggs, one of our wide receivers, was like, no, I'm not frustrated about this situation. Like, let's remember that this is a pandemic and this isn't just NFL's problem. This is the world's problem. And I don't want anybody to get sick or die from this. I want everybody to be healthy. So with that and with the Titans and Vrabel's message that you said, what has been the vibe from Coach Vrabel? I know you guys probably haven't talked to him in some time with everybody kind of being at home, virtual, no practices. You really haven't heard from players or coaches as of late, but, what has that message been to the team from the last time that you guys spoke to Coach Vrabel?
The message has kind of been control what you can control. Be sure that you are able to prepare the way you need to. You can keep your body right. You can keep yourself healthy. Like, that's all you can do. Everything else is going to happen. This team has seen a lot of kind of changes and fluidity through the last couple weeks. And so I think that has really been the message. Just stay focused on what you need to do. Stay focused on the things that you can actually control. And everything else is going to happen. And that's really been his message all season, though, is just controlling the things that are in your power to control. I mean, we all knew that there were going to be some crazy things. And golly, when teams reported for training camp, the whole world looked completely different to them. Yes. So it's not a new message. It's just a continuation of the message that he's been telling this team all season long.
All right, Amie, let's get to the game, the matchup. The Titans and the Bills have become so familiar with playing each other. This is the third time they face each other in the last 3 years, and the games have been decided by very few points in each of the last two matchups. So you would expect this game to be a really good one as well, especially with the Titans having a really hot finish to last year, blazing through the NFL with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry catching fire. And then going into this season, you guys are 3-0 to start the season. The Bills are 4-0, 2 of 6 remaining undefeated teams. You lead the AFC South. We lead the AFC East. What has been the key factor for the Titans getting to 3-0 to start the season?
I think it's consistency, and I think it's resiliency. Consistency in the stance that there's a lot of the same pieces that we saw in 2019 on this team again in 2020. 9 out of the 10 starters on offense are returning from 2019 as starters. The 10th one, Dennis Kelly, was still on the team. So everybody is very familiar with each other. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, is back, and he's in his second season. So he's got his legs under him a little bit. And on the defensive side of the ball, it's a very similar story. A lot of the same parts. Mike Vrabel took over as having a bigger role within the defense, which isn't really anything new. He's always been a defensive, hands-on coach. So having a lot of that consistency gave the Titans a chance to really build on what we saw in the second half of 2019 and really come into training camp and the off-season program, even though it was a little strange, come into those roles and really build on a foundation that they had already had set. So what we're seeing now is just a continuation of that, and they're able to expand a little bit on some of the success that they had before. And then this is a resilient team. This is a team that has confidence that what they are able to do and that their style of football works and they're able to win games. And that if they just hang in there together, even if a couple plays, a couple series aren't going their way, they can make the adjustments and they can come out on top. I think that all 3 of the first games of 2020 have given Titans fans some collective heart issues. There have been a lot of close moments, but I think that that's the character of this team, is that no matter what, they're going to fight until the very, very last second. And I think that that shows up in this team specifically as part of their character, and that's part of what makes them so successful.
One of those players who makes the Titans super successful is Derrick Henry. I mean, he finished last season unlike a lot of running backs could ever finish a season with the stretch of games that he had, averaging so many rushing yards a game. He's off to that same start this year with 319 through 3 weeks of play, through 3 games, 4th in the NFL right now, even though you guys didn't play last week. I think that says a lot about him as a running back. And he's had like 25 carries at least a game, which is absolutely insane for someone touching the ball that much. But have you noticed anything different about his game this year compared to last year?
I think there's a confidence there that we're seeing, especially in the early part of the season, that we didn't see in the early part of 2019. People kind of forget that last year at the start of the season, Derrick Henry wasn't playing very well, and he was having a really hard time kind of getting something started. At around the bye week, the midpoint of the season, he really kind of reassessed his game as a whole, the way that he was playing. His mentor is Eddie George. He really leans into Eddie and his advice and guidance a little bit. And he was able to flip a switch and have an awesome end to the 2019 season. This year, we're seeing a little bit more confidence and maturity in that even if he's not breaking away the big runs, which we really haven't seen him do yet, he's okay with the grind and the process of it and the consistency that if we just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, eventually he's going to make the numbers that he's used to seeing, and those numbers translate to wins on the field. So that is kind of what we're seeing. It's not the frustration. It's not the trying to make something happen that's not there. It's more of a steady, slow burn from Derrick Henry. And everybody knows, and he knows, that the run game is an important part of this offense. The run game is something that this team is going to stay committed to, and as they continue to play, the big runs will come.
Yeah, speaking of those big runs, I think the Bills and the Titans are one of few teams, or two of few teams left in the NFL that haven't broken off a 15-yard run play, talking about running backs yet. So we'll see if that comes for either of us in this game. Now, the receiving side of the offense, it seems like you guys had A.J. Brown last year who broke off a 1,000 receiving yard season as a rookie. And this year, it seems like the ball is being spread kind of all around the receiving core this season. So is there an underrated receiver that the Bills should look out for in this game?
I've had a favorite for a while, and it's Khalif Raymond. He was kind of on and off the practice squad in 2019, went through training camp. He had some big flashes, some big moments. And then training camp in 2020, he just kind of came in as this confident receiver. He's not very big. He's very, very fast. And he has become this deep threat player for the Titans offense. And I just think he's so fun to watch. I think he's such a cool guy. And he's always my secret weapon for the Titans offense, because we've seen him make some huge catches and some real splash plays when nobody really expects that to happen. But I think that the other thing that's really interesting about the Titans offense this year is that the tight ends are getting so involved in the receiving effort. A guy like Jonnu Smith specifically, who is a big guy and is known for being a good blocker, he's also got some really good hands, and he has been a huge part of the Titans receiving effort. And most of the Titans touchdowns have come from tight ends. So being able to get a lot of different position groups involved in that aspect of the game really gives this offense a lot of variety, and it gives Ryan Tannehill a lot of different ways that he can make plays. And options are always a quarterback's best friend.
Yeah, I think a tight end is such an important part of an offense. I think that can really be your secret weapon. Jonnu Smith has 3 touchdowns through 3 games. So, yeah, totally getting him involved in that offense. Now, Amie, over the last 2 weeks, definitely been a weird time for everybody. So being in the situation, being involved with the team who has experienced an outbreak during the season, what have you learned through this time? What's something you've reminded yourself of through this time?
I think it's just to stay fluid. Like, keep your head on a swivel, keep your knees bent, and just be ready for anything. There's not a lot that we can do to control the situation, no matter whether it's support staff like me or players or coaches. Everyone can just control what they can control, do the best that they can, and just be ready for football when it comes back, because it will come back. We are going to play these games. And man, it's going to be fun once we do. So fingers crossed that we're playing on Tuesday. We can't wait to host the Bills at Nissan Stadium. And I'm ready for football. I'm jonesing a little bit.
Well, hopefully there's no more positive tests to come out of the Titans. We hope this game definitely gets in on Tuesday. We're excited as well, especially because they can have fans in the stands. It'll be the first home game with fans in the stands for the Titans. So it'll be fun to see Nissan Stadium, not so much packed with fans, but there'll be some spaced out, socially distanced fans. And of course, being the Bills fan that I am, working for the Bills, I hope we do see some blue and red in those stands as well. So, Amie, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate the time and hope to see you there on Tuesday.
Thanks for having me, Maddie. We will see you soon.